So yesterday I finally watched a good movie. Firstly, that I watched the film. Secondly, that it was good. Thank fuck. I finally watched something good. And it's called Oldboy. It's a South Korean film. And it's about a man called Dae-soo is held captive for several years. He doesn't know why. He's just abducted one day, and then a year later on the news, because he's in a hotel room, right? And he's watching TV, just held captive, going a bit crazy, stir crazy, knocked out at night from Valium gas that comes through the air vents. Sees on TV that he had a wife and child. His wife was murdered, and he's implicated in the murder because cups that he'd been using in this hotel room that he's held captive in were found at the scene of the crime. And after 15 years being held captive, he's released, and it's a story of vengeance. It's really good. I'm so happy that I watched a good bit of cinema. I knew of Oldboy anyway because I lurk a lot of Reddit, and I like to read threads about fucked up films, but then never get around to actually watching fucked up films. I've been having a bit of a movie week this week by myself because I always complain about... I don't complain. I don't like watching movies because when you watch a bad movie, it's like 2 hours of your life gone. So I watched the remakes of I Spit on Your Grave, The Hills Have Eyes. I Spit on Your Grave, the remake, I've seen the original, and the remake is a lot more graphic. And the lead character looks like Kristen Stewart, so it was a bit distracting for me. And The Hills Have Eyes, that was perfectly fine. And I watched the original Wicker Man with... Why is my nose so itchy? It's like I'm tweaking. I watched the original Wicker Man with Christopher Lee. And it was great, but it was bizarre. I didn't expect Oldboy to be the way it would be because I've heard it described so many times. And I did know the twist at the end going in, which, spoiler alert, we're going to discuss in a minute anyway. So I knew the twist going in, and I think that I thought it would be this really gritty, sort of downplayed film. Like the acting would be really subtle. Minimalist acting. Is that a word? Is that a term? Subdued. And it's not. It's not that it would have... No, would it have been less effective? It's absurdist. I love it. It's bizarre. There's this bit in the beginning where he's like holding some guy's tie and preventing this man from falling off a roof. This man's trying to kill himself. And he's like, I'm going to tell you my story. And then he finishes, and the guy, he's holding this like dog. He's like, now I must tell you my story and why I want to kill myself. And he just walks off and leaves him. And then the man, trigger warning and spoiler alert, but we're talking about a fucked up hit film here. The man jumps off the roof. But it's not portrayed as this... It's weirdly absurdist and bizarre. There's lots of moments throughout the film where it's really serious, and then it takes a completely different tone and direction, but it works. There's also this bit where he fights off about, I think, is it 15 men in a hallway, and it's a single shot, and at one point he gets stabbed in the back, and he's still fighting and beating them up, and it was really beautifully done. So the violence in this film is put to classical music, which if you listen to my podcast, and you probably should, you would know that I enjoy in films, in my defense, if there's violence in film alongside classical music, I enjoy that. I think it works well together. Stylistically, there's something about it. Whilst it's not classical music, there's a scene in the first John Wick where it's this song, Think by Khalida, stabs this guy, and he waits to see his pupils dilate so he can check that the guy's dead. But the way it's done, the way that scene is shot with that music, Think by Khalida in the background, and the sort of red and purples and blues of it's like a pool house under a club. I want to say it's a pool house. It's just expertly done. There's something about it that I just really enjoyed. When I first saw that, I was like, fuck me, that's a really good... Went back and watched it a few times, which makes me look like a bit of a weirdo. But granted, the violence in this film, of which there is quite a lot of, it's really well done. And there are some moments where less is more and it works. For example, because he's hell-bent on revenge against the people that held him captive, and he wants to find out why, because he's in this web of conspiracy, he finds the guy that's been monitoring his room with CCTV for the past 15 years, and he starts pulling out his teeth with pliers, and you don't actually see him pull them out, but you don't need to. It's so squeamish. I watched it with a friend. There's a bit where he cuts his own tongue off as penance at the end. And you don't need to see him actually cut the tongue off. Just the build up to it and his face, and then you see the handles of the scissors go like this. That was me and my friend. We were both just like, we were watching, but we were both like, oh my god. I mean, we were heavily enjoying ourselves. It's a fantastic film. So, plot-wise, on his journey to find the people who held him captive. Why are there people outside enjoying themselves? Be quiet. You know, it's 15 years later, so he must be 40 by now, and he befriends is the wrong word, this sushi chef, this young sushi chef, and they start a sexual relationship, and there's this, so there's the scene where they're having sex, and like it's showing quite a lot of the sex scene, if that makes sense. And my friend said, why are they focusing so much on this sex scene? Why is there so much of it? It's just uncomfortable. Like, it's just weird. And I knew the twist, so I was like, just keep watching. I have a tendency of reading up on films because I know realistically I'm not going to get around to watching a lot of them. So a lot of films, there are some films I try to go in blind, but then there's a lot of, Oldboy's been out since 2003. But knowing the twist still didn't diminish it because I was still seeing the story unfold. And yes, it would have been even more impactful had I not known, but I could still appreciate it as I was unfolding. There was a dread of like, oh, don't do that, mate, don't fuck her, don't do it. So the big bad guy is called Lee Woo-jin. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong because it's a South Korean name. I'm very sorry. Turns out he went to school with Dae-soo, and Dae-soo's love interest is called Mido. He went to school with Dae-soo, and Lee, engaged in some, family-friendly fun with his sister. Basically, him and his sister, they got into a sex act. Dae-soo saw him in a classroom. It's pretty much implied that, they fucked. And then Dae-soo told one of his friends spread the rumour, and then Lee Woo-jin's sister ended up killing herself. So, Lee Woo-jin, so angry, then concocts this plan of revenge against Dae-soo, and that's why Dae-soo cuts off his tongue in the end as, a sign of, look, I'll get rid of it, I talk too much, my tongue got me into all this trouble. Chops it off to prevent Lee Woo-jin from killing Mido. But Lee has this kind of hallucination sequence in the lift afterwards where he's remembering / acting out him holding his sister's hand, and he lets go of her because she's saying that she wants to kill herself because she thinks that she's pregnant from his own baby and doesn't want a baby that she's also going to be the auntie. So it's pretty messy. That would make family dinners awkward, wouldn't it? But there is some interpretation in, it's open to interpretation that because he's hallucinating and reliving this memory, potentially, he might have killed his sister because he didn't want to deal with the shame of having a child that he is also uncle to. She might not commit suicide. It's open to interpretation, which is what I like. Anyway, he shoots himself in the head, and then at the end, a lot of the trickery that was done in the film was with the use of a hypnotist, and he meets up with the hypnotist at the end to try to get rid of the memory of knowing that his daughter is his love interest because he is in love with his daughter and his daughter is in love with him. And the hypnotist tries a technique where they're sitting in the snow in the cold outside, and she does this technique where she says, okay, imagine you're back in this room and you're going to split into two. Your personality is going to split into two. There's, what's the word they use? The innocent, let's say the innocent, who is unaware of knowing that you fucked your daughter and are in love with your daughter. And then there's the monster who is aware of all of these things. And the monster is going to get up and walk 10 to 15 paces. And if with each step is going to get older and is going to die at the age of 70, and it'll be a peaceful death. And then you'll wake up completely innocent with no knowledge. But when he wakes up, when Mido finds him lying in the snow, he looks older, and so she says, I love you. and he can't talk because, you know, he's cut off his tongue. And he laughs, and then it's replaced with a look of anguish. And when he wakes up, he's no longer sitting on the chair, right? He had walked like several steps, some distance. So there's an interpretation there that the monster is the one that won. He now has to live with the knowledge that he fucked his own daughter and is in love with his own daughter for the rest of his life. It would seem to imply that. There's also the interpretation that he never met the hypnotist at all, because the hypnotist is nowhere to be seen, and they're in the middle of some sort of woods, which is like there's heavy snow everywhere, so he could have just been talking to himself. I like that about films, where they keep you thinking afterwards, and you look up other people's interpretation of, because there are some people that are like, no, I like to imagine that it's a happy ending, even though his face is one of anguish at the end. And there are some people who like to imagine it's the bitter ending, you know, the more realistic one where he just can't forget the memory. And I like it when films do that. Reminds me a little bit of at the end of Spirited Away, when they come out of the spirit world and they go back to the car. It's implied through the imagery that they were in the spirit world for longer than 2 days, possibly hundreds of years, because the car, it's covered in tree debris and leaves, and there was also this little rock statue. I'm not sure if it represented good luck. There was a carved statue, which at the beginning, before they entered the tunnel, is sharp and defined, and at the end, it's a lot of its features has been worn away, as if by a couple hundred years worth of rain and just general degradation of the environment. And that's not stated, but it's right there on the screen that they would potentially, in the spirit world, of hundreds of years, because they were moving, right? They could end up this place. It could be completely different. It could be futuristic. It could be, yeah, everyone they know has died, which is pretty dark and like that's fucking dark and grim, right? But I like that it's there and that you can interpret it as such, the little subtle hints. Of course, maybe this is less subtle because, you know, he smiles, but then it's a look of anguish. So maybe it's a bit less subtle in this. And I don't think we see that much with a lot of cinema, where you can interpret the ending in different ways. I mean, sure, we did get that with Inception, I guess. Did the totem wobble? Did it? Do I care? I don't know. But anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed Oldboy. I would definitely recommend it. It's a very solid film. The acting, very good. The Lee Woo-jin, he was just cool. Like, it was just that's what I'm gonna say about his acting. He was cool. Yeah, we liked him. Me and my mate, we were like, he's cool. Yeah, allow, you know, locking someone up. Oh wait, no, he did incest. So maybe that's less cool. Like, that's a little bit cringe to do incest, but the rest of them is pretty based. It's pretty cringe to say based, but I'm gonna try and bring it back. Choi Min-sik, who played Dae-soo, was very good. You could really feel him losing his mind at certain points. Oh, I forgot there was this great bit in the penthouse, you know, like, you know, the confrontation between Dae-soo and Lee Woo-jin, and, you know, he's got some henchmen and he's like, yeah, get him. And he had taken a toothbrush from his girlfriend / daughter's apartment, and he brings out a toothbrush, he snaps it in half, and he just like stabs, like kills both men with a fucking toothbrush. And me and my friend were both like, oh my god, this is like John Wick. And actually John Wick, the director of, was inspired by this, and there's a thematic trilogy of vengeance that this is, I believe, the second film of. Thematic, so they're not chronologically linked, they're just linked by themes. So I guess an equivalent of the Cornetto trilogy. I'm joking, but I'm gonna watch them next because I was really impressed with this film. I was like, I like it when you enjoy a film so much that you have to go and look up what other people thought and other different interpretations. I felt a little bit like that with The Wicker Man, actually. I read up more on that after I'd watched it. And again, I knew the ending of The Wicker Man, like that has just been eternally spoiled for me. Because it's always in England, we have a lot of the 100 scariest films of all times, like shows that they do every year. And I remember The Wicker Man being on at an early age. So again, I knew the ending of that, but that was bizarre. I didn't expect all the singing. And anyway, this isn't about that, this is about Oldboy. Totally recommend. It's a solid 9 out of 10. I thought it was excellent. Excellent. 9 out of 10. It's not a 10 out of 10 because that's The Matrix, but 9 out of 10. Go check it out, go watch it. Anyway, that's all for this movie review. Should we do more of these? It's quite nice. Sit down, talk about movies. Let me know in the comments below if you want more of them. And that's all for today's video. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. I make new videos whenever I feel like it. Follow me on Instagram. Give me some recommendations for films down in the comment section below. I like films that are slightly fucked up and make you think a bit. So yeah, just give me some recommendations based on what we've just talked about. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!